Hi everyone, happy November. Yes, as you can tell from the title of this video, it may be coming on for mid-November, but I'm already here with my Christmas gift guide or just holiday season gift guide, regardless of what holidays you celebrate or what reason you're buying gifts for or who you're buying them for. They might just be for yourself and go you, why not treat yourself? Because I wanted to make sure I was giving you plenty of time. I myself like to plan quite far ahead in terms of my Christmas gift buying, because that's the holiday season that I buy for, and especially with everything going on in the world, I find it quite reassuring if I can order early and make sure I've got everything in and ready, or post it or order it straight to friends. So I just felt like, even though it's only the sort of first half of November, it would still be quite helpful to sort of get an early start on things. Now, I film a bookish Christmas gift guide every year. I've done it multiple years in the past. I can't even tell you how many at this point, but there's a whole playlist, so I will link those playlists down below. And I try and focus in each gift guide on books and bookish items that have come out this year, because that way I like to think that perhaps the person you're buying for may not already have those books. But of course there are a wide range of books out there that you can pick up as gifts, and I'm hoping to cover quite a vast range here, from adult non-fiction to adult fiction, all the way down to children's non-fiction and fiction and all the ages in between. My intention is to start with the adult non-fiction, move into the adult fiction, and gradually work myself towards the youngest age group in this video. So it should be clear that you're starting with the older gifts and going down to the younger gifts, but at the same time some of these, especially the more mid-range age range, are very suitable for lots of different readers, so it's very much up to you and what you think the person you're gifting will enjoy. So I think we all know what a gift guide is at this point, and that means I should probably just crack straight on with all of the very, very exciting gifts I have to show you. So the first book I want to suggest might make an excellent gift this year is Dead Famous by Greg Jenner. This is an unexpected history of celebrity from Bronze Age to silver screen. So Greg Jenner is an absolutely fantastic modern historian who very much focuses on the accessibility of the discipline, and this book focuses, as you can tell, on the history of celebrity, which I think is such a fascinating subject, going all the way back to the Bronze Age, which is millennia ago, up until the silver screen or the 20th century. I think often we think of celebrity as something that's quite a modern concept, but even in the time period that I study in antiquity, you could very much consider some of the Olympic athletes celebrities in their own right. They had statues erected to them, or at least their sponsors did, and there is a version of celebrity that certainly spans far, 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 far back into the past, and I think this is a really fun way to look at different historical periods, because what we consider celebrity says something about us as a society. So this should be incredibly accessible, incredibly readable, regardless of the person you're gifting it to, historical background and how much they know. They can know absolutely nothing or know bits and pieces about the different civilizations, because it's a particular spin on those. And I just think that Greg Jenner is such a fantastic historian that this book would just make a brilliant, brilliant gift. We then have another book on the history side of things, but something a lot more specific, and that is A Fatal Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum: Murder in Ancient Rome by Emma Southon. And this one is obviously specifically about the ancient Romans, but it has that fun true crime slant. True crime has become such a buzzword over the past few years. A lot of people probably listen to true crime podcasts, enjoy watching true crime television shows, reading true crime books, and this is a little bit of a different spin on that, because it is a history book. It's a history book about murder and values and attitudes and laws around murder in ancient Rome, but I think it has that unique selling element of appealing to quite a modern interest, and I think that's a lot of fun. So whether it's someone you know that just is interested in ancient history or is more interested in true crime, this could be a good crossover book, and I think it sounds like a lot of fun. It's also really beautiful. I mean, who doesn't love a good looking book as a gift? On the topic of true crime, I actually have a book here from Thames and Hudson, which is Murder Maps: Crime Scenes Revisited. Now this is more of what you might describe as a coffee table book. It is heavily illustrated, and that is because this book is full of maps and images and crime scene photos from real crimes throughout the decades. So again, if you know someone that's into true crime, this is kind of the ideal gift. I just think this is such an incredible concept given how popular that genre is now. So we've got images like real maps that indicate the different sites of murder for, say, serial killers, but like I said, we also have crime scene photos, just different sort of like elements of case study, and I think a lot of people would really, really enjoy this book. But I just love this. I think it's truly stunning. Thames and Hudson specialise in gorgeous books, and you will see some more of their titles in this video because they always do like a stand-up job of just bringing out a beautiful, beautiful book that always makes a gorgeous gift for you or someone else. We then have one that I thought sounded like a lot of fun, and that is How to Talk to Robots by Tabitha Goldstall, a girl's guide to a future dominated by AI. So this is a piece of feminist non-fiction, but it's very specifically looking at the relationship between feminism, women and AI, or artificial intelligence. And I think there is increasing discussions surrounding just tech in general and women's place in tech and how tech affects women specifically and how they've been excluded from tech and how they're now entering into the tech industries. And this is something that just seems so contemporary, so relevant and so fascinating for anybody that's into tech, AI, robots, even science fiction or just future speculation, and also feminism. It's laid out in a really approachable manner, and for someone who is myself a feminist but doesn't really know anything about AI, it's also like a fun sort of bridge to a new topic. We then have two books that overlap but are unique in their own way. The first of which is Heroines of Olympus, The Women of Greek Mythology by Ellie Mackin Roberts. So Ellie Mackin Roberts is a doctor in the field of classics. She has her PhD. She's somebody I've actually met in person at conferences and is absolutely incredible. She just has such interesting things to say about classics, and especially classics in the modern world. This book is obviously all about heroines of Greek mythology. So it's all about the women of Greek mythology, specifically covering 50 different women. So this is such an incredible overview of women in Greek mythology. Like, it covers a broad range from muses to goddesses to mortals, and each different female character or female civilization even has their own illustration, information spread, and then story to go alongside them, so you can really learn a little bit more about each woman. There's Hypsipyle, for example. We've got Iphis and Ianthe. Loads and loads of different myths collected in this one book, which is positively stunning. Naked hardback, foiling, everything I could possibly want in a book cover, and I would be ecstatic to receive this as a gift. Very accessible, but obviously also very well informed because it's written by an expert in this field. So I think this would make the most stunning gift. On a similar topic, however, because, you know, I've got to get my Greek myths in there, don't I, is Pandora's Jar, Women in Greek Myths by Natalie Haynes. So this book covers a much smaller selection of women. I think it's 12, 13 or 14 in total. Between 10 and 15 for certain. And in that respect, each woman obviously gets a lot more time spent on her, and it's more like a version of her story in quite a detailed prose account. It's also entirely text-based, as you can see. So this is more of your traditional narrative book that sort of crosses the boundaries between fiction and non-fiction. Natalie Haynes has written a few different Greek myth retellings in the past, all of which have been incredible. I have such respect for her writing and her insight into the topic of Greek women, and I think both of these books would either make incredibly complimentary gifts or may perhaps be for different people in your life, depending on which kind of book on Greek women you think would suit them best. But honestly, do you know what, like, if you gave them both of these books, I think you would be winning at Christmas presents. The last non-fiction book I then have to share you is, I say non-fiction, but it is more fiction than anything else. It's one of those odd crossovers because it's non-fiction on a fictional universe, and it's definitely a niche, which is the latest instalment in the Ankh-Morpork Archives, a Discworld anthology. So this is volume 2. Volume 1 came out last year. I think I might have even included volume 1 in last year's gift guide. But there are so many Terry Pratchett fans out there. His universe has such a die-hard following, I myself am one of which, that these complementary non-fiction books on the universe that come out every now and then are such a great gift to give. They are full of absolutely brilliant accompanying illustrations by Paul Kidby, who always does an incredible job of bringing the Discworld to life, as well as fascinating insights and information on the Discworld and Ankh-Morpork, which is the sort of mercantile capital of the Discworld, and I just think these kind of things are so much fun. This is certainly not the only type of book that exists in this genre. There's tons of Discworld companion books. There's also a bunch of like Game of Thrones companion books. There's Firefly, Doctor Who companion books, and if you know someone that's a member of a particular fandom, then why not go out there and look for books in that fandom, especially ones that are newer releases and they might not have yet. So this is an excellent gift, but it's also an example of a kind of gift that you can give. So before I move on to my specific adult fiction recommendations, I wanted to mention something a little bit different, which is a book subscription service. So I thought this would fit in nicely here because in Books That Matter, which is one of my most recent book subscription discoveries, they focus on promoting books on social justice and feminism, and they send you a fiction book most month. But for example, in this box, which was the November box, there was also a small non-fiction book. So you get a bit of both, and it's obviously a surprise. You don't know what you're getting ahead of time, you don't know what you're gifting ahead of time, but it also means if you struggle to pick books for other people but want to get a bookish person something that they might not have read yet, Books That Matter is such a great one to check out because they are new releases. So like I said, this is November's box. This is not exactly what you will get if you order somebody December's box, but it's a nice example. There is a fiction book, there is a small non-fiction book on climate activism, there was a little mask, which is obviously incredibly useful these days, as well as some postcards and a beautiful, beautiful illustrated front cover notebooks. So such a lovely subscription service, and I feel like a little bit more geared towards adults, whereas a ton of the sort of subscription boxes in the bookish world that I come across tend to be more YA or aimed at quite specific genres like thriller or fantasy or sci-fi, whereas this is a little bit more general, and obviously it has that wonderful theme of social justice running through it. So I think that this is just gorgeously put together, and a one-off subscription or a few month subscription for somebody would make such a beautiful, beautiful gift. Moving on to adult fiction, however, sometimes we just want to gift something small. We're on a smaller budget, or it's a Secret Santa, or we just want a little add-on to a bigger present. And for that, I particularly want to recommend a new edition of The Part-Time Job by P.D. James. So this is published by Faber. It's such an adorable little edition. It's £3.50, and it's a little crime story by one of the most well-loved crime novelists and authors of the 20th century. Again, I just feel like a ton of people can get into, if they're not already into, the sort of cozy classic crime genre, and this gorgeous little edition of P.D. James would just make such a nice gift in so many circumstances, like I mentioned, whether it's just like a one-off gift, a stocking filler, etc. So love that. I also wanted to mention a collection of books that recently came out from Gaelic Books. So these are actually proofs, these are the editions that I have, but the final copies are now out, and I can show you here that there are 3 in total currently available. Now this is a series of French classics by women translated into English, and even from the proofs you can tell that they are absolutely stunning. These editions are beautiful, would make stunning gifts, especially for anybody that enjoys classics, enjoys feminism, enjoys women writers, enjoys translated or specifically French literature. There's a lot going on there that may appeal to different people, and it's called the Revolutionary Women series. This is 3 Rival Sisters by Marie-Louise Gagneur, and this is The Women of the Wolf and Other Stories by Renee Vivian. But like I mentioned in this little information sheet, there's also Asphyxia by Violet Ludock. So I think that these are just so beautiful, such a beautiful collection. It's the kind of instance where you could buy somebody one or the whole set, depending on what your budget is. Then finally, for specifically adult fiction, I have a collection of short stories, which is the Decameron Project, which is 29 new stories from the pandemic, selected by the editors of the New York Times Magazine. First of all, beautiful cover. Cannot go wrong with a gorgeous book under the tree. As you might have already guessed from the title of this one, these are stories from the pandemic. So they're not necessarily about the pandemic, but it's taking inspiration from the Decameron, which is a medieval classic by Giovanni Boccaccio, which follows a group of friends who have fled Florence, where there's currently a plague outbreak, to spend their time in a large manor house together until the plague dies down, and they tell each other lots of stories. So this book is obviously inspired by that concept, but it collects together various different authors. So we have authors like Karen Russell, Margaret Atwood, Camilla Shamsie, David Mitchell, Andrew O'Hagan, and many, many more. They're all listed here on the back or in the contents page. But this is fun not only because it's a new out collection of short stories, but because you may know that somebody likes one of these authors, but they might not have tried the other one, so it may expose them or introduce them to some new authors they haven't tried before, and this is like a fun sort of anthology way to check out different writers' writings. Now actually I said that was the last adult fiction, but this is more of a all-ager, and that is To Sleep in a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. So this one is the latest book by Christopher Paolini, the author of The Inheritance Cycle, which is a YA fantasy series about dragons, and it's one of my favourite series. I started reading it in my pre-teens when I was effectively just a child, but I know it's also big amongst adult readers and I still like to reread it now. So this is one that, like I mentioned, I feel like both young adult and adult readers could very much enjoy. It's science fiction as opposed to fantasy, but Christopher Paolini, regardless of what world he's writing in, does beautifully detailed worlds and fascinating characters and relationships. So this would make just as good a gift for somebody who's already a big fan of Eragon, like I was, or I am, or somebody who just enjoys a bit of science fiction and is looking to try a new author in that genre. So if you know somebody that enjoyed Eragon, then they would probably love to have Christopher Paolini's latest book, but like I said, may also just make a nice gift for somebody who likes reading science fiction by an author who's pretty beloved and reliable. So I had to include this here. I also wanted to mention a YA novel by Deirdre Sullivan, which is Savage Her Reply. Now first of all, stunning. I am a sucker for a stunning book, particularly when it comes to the gifting season. It's a naked hardback, gorgeous Celtic design. Love it. And this one's actually a retelling of an Irish folktale, The Children of Lear. And I also just think there's something quite widely appealing when it comes to folktale retellings. A lot of people love a retelling. So this is one that I think would just make a stunning gift for anybody who enjoys reading YA, whether they're a teen or young adult themselves, or just like a bit of fantasy, folktale, fairy tale retelling in their literature. So this is just stunning. We then have something on the topic of fairy tale retellings, which I just think is brilliant, and I wanted to include here because it would make such a great gift for sort of older children, young adults, and that is Gender Swapped Fairy Tales. So this is published by Faber and Faber, and it's written by Carrie Fransman and Jonathan Plackett. And not only is this a fantastic concept, but this is probably one of the most beautiful books in this gift guide. I'm sorry, I'm overwhelmed by how beautiful this book is. Look at those end papers. And let me tell you some of the examples of fairy tale retellings in here. We've got Handsome and the Beast, Cinder or the Little Glass Slipper, How to Tell a True Prince, Jacqueline and the Beanstalk, Gretel and Hansel, Mr. Rapunzel, Snowdrop, Little Red Riding Hood, but Little Red's a boy, The Sleeping Handsome in the Wood instead of The Sleeping Beauty, Frau Rumpelstiltskin, Mistress Puss in Boots, and lastly Thumbelina, which I just think is such a fun concept. I've certainly seen individual retellings that have tried to play with gender when it comes to fairy tales, but I've never seen a collection like this before. It is gorgeously laid out, really readable for different ages, and has the most stunning illustrations. I am overwhelmed by the beauty of Handsome and the Beast right there. Next we move on to the sort of middle grade range of fiction I have, which sort of covers the 7 to 12 age range. Like with a lot of these things, a lot of books can surpass age groups. I know I still love reading middle grade, I know plenty of teenagers love reading middle grade, and some people are pretty advanced readers so might be reading this stuff at 6 or 5, I don't know. But you will know what is best for whoever you're gifting, and if you're not sure then this gives you a bit of guidance on what is aimed at their age range. So the first book isn't actually necessarily fiction, but it's poetry, and that's On the Move, Poems About Migration by Michael Rosen with drawings by Quentin Blake. So Quentin Blake is probably best known for his illustrations of the Roald Dahl books. He is an incredible illustrator, he has many of his own books as well, and Michael Rosen is one of the best children's authors out there. He was one of my favourites as a child and he is still bringing out incredible literature now. I know his book We're Going on a Bear Hunt is an absolute children's classic, but this obviously encompasses a slightly older age range, as you can tell just sort of from the formatting. Equally, I think adults could enjoy this if they were fans of Michael Rosen as a child, and Michael Rosen still writes adult poetry, so again, like, I feel like this has a lot of crossover appeal, but it's also on such an important topic, and Michael Rosen always just has the most insightful, kind-hearted, thoughtful takes on anything going on in the world that I would entirely trust anything he writes on any topic, including this one, plus it's beautiful because Quentin Blake. So I think this would make a stunning, stunning gift. I then have a children's fiction book which is specifically published by Barrington Stoke, who I like to highlight in my gift guides and did so last year because they specialise in literature for children who are dyslexic. And what I mean by that is a variety of things. First of all, a lot of their books are a little bit on the shorter side, so they can also just appeal to slightly reluctant readers or children who struggle to read and get into books. These can be great starters. They also use yellow paper. So the paper is slightly more yellow than you're used to because this is something that's slightly easier on the eye, especially if you are dyslexic, and there's lots of studies that have gone into this. There's also little illustrations, which is wonderful. And this is one of their latest releases, which is The Griffin Gate by Vashti Hardy. And I particularly want to mention this because I love Vashti Hardy's middle grade. I was actually a judge for the 2020 Blue Peter's Children Book Award, and one of the authors that we shortlisted and then who went on to win as voted for by children was Vashti Hardy. So you know you can trust her work, especially since children judged her the winner of that prize and there was some stiff competition. I think her worlds are absolutely magical. Her writing is really accessible but really imaginative and captivating, and I love that she's done something with Barrington Stoke. But they have a wide range of books, so they're worth checking out in general. We then have The Left-Handed Booksellers of London by Garth Nix. I love this because it's a book about books. I love books that include bookshops and libraries. I think it's really fun, really meta, and I know is really appealing to a lot of readers. So if you know someone who's a big reader, a child that's a big reader, they'll probably love this. Garth Nix is also pretty tried and tested. Both his children's and young adult books are very popular, very well loved, and whether you know somebody that's already a fan of Garth Nix or who's just a younger reader and might enjoy being introduced to his writing, this is such a great one to check out. It's set in an alternative 1980s London, and we follow Merlin the bookseller as he comes up against a very scary mob boss. We then have another one that I only have a proof copy of to show you. I will insert an image of the final cover because it's truly gorgeous, and that is A Kind of Spark by Elle McNichol. This is another one that has been shortlisted for a bunch of different awards. It's had so much praise, and rightly so. It's about a young autistic girl in Scotland who decides to do a school project on the witch trials in her area in the past and how those women were persecuted. So it covers a lot of different areas there, and it's an own voices book. The author Elle McNichol is autistic herself. She's incredible online if you follow her online. She's just a really wonderful presence on social media. More neurodivergent representation is always a good thing, and this is such a fantastic example of that. We then have Chris Riddell's latest offering to the middle grade genre, and that is the Cloud Horse Chronicles Book 1 Guardians of Magic. Now this is just beautiful. Chris Riddell is both an author and a children's illustrator. He illustrates his own books and illustrates other authors' books, and he always just creates such imaginative worlds and brings other worlds to life with his drawings. And this is about Zam, Phoebe and Bathsheba, who are guardians of magic that don't realise how big a part they have to play in the existence of magic in their world until now. Absolutely wonderful. Love a sort of magical adventure middle grade. Think these have so much mass appeal. On the topic of Chris Riddell, I actually have another book illustrated by him, but not written by him, and this is Francesca Gibbons' A Clock of Stars, book 1 of the Shadow Moth series. Again, another really beautiful, imaginative, middle grade release that I think will appeal to a lot of children and potentially older readers. It has a map on the end papers. Like seriously, any fantastical story that has a magical map on the inside flap would have been my favourite Christmas gift if I had received it, because that was everything I loved in a book. And this is about Imogen, who accidentally finds herself trapped in a magical kingdom. Honestly, always my favourite kind of plot. Who does not love that? We then have a book which I feel a little bit cheeky including. It's non-fiction and it is aimed at the sort of 7 to 11 age group, which is Greek Myths by Jean Mears, which if you don't know is me. So I wrote this book and I've included it in my Christmas gift guide, and I have no shame because I am so proud of this, and I think it is a beautiful collaborative piece of work. It is brought to life by the illustrations. I'm so proud of these stories that I have shared through this book, and the information about ancient history and Greek mythology I have been able to share through this book, but it would not be the book it is if it was not for Katie Ponder's illustrations. Genuinely, these are beautiful. They bring antiquity to life, they bring these myths to life, and they make such a beautiful book for children and also slightly older readers, because if you don't know anything about Greek myths, what's a better way to be introduced to Greek myths than a children's book? Because it's nice, it's accessible, it's detailed. If you don't know me, then I'm currently working on a PhD in ancient history, so it's also very well researched and informed by actual ancient sources. So I'm very proud of this. As you can tell, I'm also using it to press this leaf. Just gonna take that out. And it was, like I said, very much a collaborative project between myself, Katie Ponder, and the publishers DK. I think it would make such a stunning gift because I myself know how much I love DK non-fiction books as a child. So to be able to recommend you one of those that I was also involved in creating is an absolute honour. And if you know a child that is potentially interested in mythology, fairy tales, legends, different cultures and history, then this would make such a wonderful gift. And I mean that wholeheartedly, despite having a slightly vested interest in this one. So I had to include that there. I also want to include another non-fiction children's book, which is aimed at the 5+ age range, mainly because of how delicate and beautifully constructed it is. This is A Train Journey by Gerard Lowe Monaco, and this is a pop-out book all about different trains. So that's what it looks like when you open it, and then I just can't get over how beautiful this is. This is another example of Thames and Hudson's stunning publishing. So these are some of the examples, and it actually pulls out entirely so you can see all of the trains at once. I don't think I'm doing it justice on camera here, but trust me, this is a work of art. And then behind, sorry, plant, each pop-out train, you have all of the history of that train. So this is the New York L train, for example, or we have the Flying Scotsman, and this is actually one that I'm gifting this Christmas to a child who I think will absolutely adore it. Like I said, it's sort of for the 5+ range because of its delicacy, although if you know like a very, very careful 4-year-old, I can't see why they wouldn't enjoy this. And it's also something nice to look at with a child and read them the facts in the back about the different trains. I think trains are actually such a fascinating topic. We then have another non-fiction title which could certainly appeal to younger readers and the slightly older middle grade age range as well, because it is a very heavily illustrated picture book, which is Wild City, Meet the Animals Who Share Our City Spaces, written by Ben Horn and illustrated by Lucy Rose. So why I say this might appeal to a wide age range is that a very young reader is not going to be able to read it because there's a lot of text in here, but it's certainly something you could read with a younger child, and I think that's something lovely about children's literature. There's so many captivating images and illustrations of different cities around the world, and then exploring the wildlife and the nature and the animals that are native to those cities. I myself always loved an animal non-fiction book as a child. It's probably my favourite genre of non-fiction, and I think this one's got like a really fun twist on those books. So I really, really love this and think it's really beautiful and informative, which is just like the best combination. We then have 2 books which are fairy tale retellings. So this is a new series published by Vintage Books, which again could certainly be read by quite a wide age range. A younger reader isn't going to be able to read this because they are quite text heavy, although illustrated, so it might be something you want to read to them. But readers that are in that sort of 6-7+ age range may certainly be able to read this themselves. These are the Fairy Tale Revolution series, and each book is written by a well-known author. So we've got Blue Blood here, for example, which is a retelling of the Bluebeard fairy tale by Malory Blackman. I also have Duckling by Camilla Shamsie, but there are others in this range, and I'll link them all down below so you can check them out. I then have some younger children's picture books. I have 2 here to show you, and the first one is I Can Catch a Monster by Bethan Woolven. If you've seen any of my gift guides in the past, you'll know that I always include a Bethan Woolven. Partly because each year I genuinely give the latest Bethan Woolven to a family friend's granddaughter because she loves these books, and there's always a new one out at this time of year, which is absolutely perfect. But also because I kind of wish I could keep them for myself and think they are just some of the best children's picture books currently out. I love Bethan Woolven's take on a lot of traditional fairy tale themes. She has such fun, feisty main characters. They're so imaginative, so well written, and beautifully illustrated. Like, I love these illustrations. They are so gorgeous, and I think that this is such a beautiful present. It is of course her latest installment, but she has a bunch of others that she's written in the past, and they're all beautiful, beautiful gifts. We then have If I Had a Unicorn by Gabby Donny and Alex Barrow. I mean, wouldn't we all love a unicorn? This is an absolutely beautiful hardback picture book with the most stunning illustrations, all about a child who goes to the art gallery and discovers the magic of unicorns and wonders what they would do if they had a unicorn themselves, and imagines lots of different adventures involving their unicorn buddy. It is so beautiful, so imaginative, so well written, so engaging, and has so many beautiful visuals to look at, so will really engage younger children's imagination when they're being read the fun text to go alongside it. So I love this. I love both of these picture books. I think these would both make magnificent gifts for younger readers, and I think everything in this video would make a magnificent gift. Obviously that's why it's here. Hopefully I have given you a little bit of inspiration of authors and books and genres and types of books that you might want to check out. If you're going down the bookish route for gifts this year, I will of course link everything I've mentioned in the description box down below to make it easy for you. I will also link below the playlist of all of my previous gift guides that I've uploaded, because everything I've said in those in the past still stands. I would love to hear if you're particularly interested or thinking of gifting anything in this video, even if it's to yourself, and what other books you're planning on gifting. I hope you enjoy the rest of autumn, have a wonderful winter and holiday season, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye everyone.